Hey guys, I have a new video here for you. It's pretty interesting, in my opinion. This is remember yesterday I put out a video with this clip here showing these areas matching up. Well, I wanted to show you some interesting stuff I found out about Australia and the Grand Canyon, and I hope you guys like it. So, here we go. Okay, so before I get started, I just want to point out a couple things about our planet and some of these features here. When I look at North America, I see kind of a round, almost a football shaped area that gives me the impression of, well, depth. Like this sticks out higher than this area. And then when I come over here, I notice something similar here. I see a round shape here. It's kind of footballish though, but also giving me the impression of almost like it's bowed out towards me. You know, whether that's the case or not, that's just the way it looks. It could be an optical illusion, but I wanted to point that out because the other thing I want to point out is that looking at Australia here, you see how it has this arch. When I see arches like this, it makes me think of that it might have been possibly wrapped around something round. It's just the impression I get. And whatever it was, it would have to be not that big, apparently. See, this is also similar to what I'm talking about. When I see an arched, it reminds me like it's going around something round. Okay, I'm bringing Australia right here, and I'm bringing it in, and I'm lining this point up right here. Right there, see that? You can see things kind of line up. This is a really complicated pattern to see. So this is where that the geologist will try to get me on what he claims are vague alignments. Okay, here's the peninsula right here off of Australia. What I want to do is I want to line this peninsula up in here like that, so that I can see where I'm at here. You can see it there as I line that up there. This swoops in here. You can see there's features and stuff lining up. You just can see it. I don't know how to explain it. This is just making it really difficult on me for some reason. But really what I want to get to is the flipping around. I'm claiming that I think this wraps around what would be a smaller planet or whatever. Either way, it flips around. And if I was to flip this around, this is what it would look like. Okay, so I bring this in. I'm going to line it up in here, of course. You can just kind of naturally see how things are coming together. See here as this swoops around in. this is not this difficult when I do this, like if I try a practice run. All of a sudden this becomes super difficult when I start trying to show this in a video for some reason. But anyways, who cares about that? Let me bring this in. Boy, I hope I can pull this off. See that right there? Wow, this is really complicated, but you can see that it's complicated with all this scribble stuff. But it still lines up. This is where I wanted to show you. It also lines up here. And when it lines up here, this is the Grand Canyon right here. It goes like this. It comes out, goes in, goes straight, comes back out, and goes in. I want to show you something about these features next to Australia. Now give me a minute, because this is it's not gonna just let me walk right through this, I guarantee you that. For 3 years though, I've been looking for this right here, believe it or not, because this is like looking for a needle in a haystack, and it's still giving me trouble. But look, this is going to be difficult to see, but what gives it away that it is what it is? I mean, yeah, anybody could just throw some squiggly lines over the Grand Canyon and claim that that's related to it. But the problem is you need to have the other areas around it also align. And you can see that that's exactly how I'm proving this. You see how this comes shaped like this? Well, it's this area right here. See? Like that. And you can see that when that lines up, you can see this right there is this. So you see that, how that lines up? Look, right there. Okay, so it lines up there, and then we got this area right here. See? This is pretty close-up shots here. I mean, this is hard to fake. With that lined up there, we could look for other alignments too, and you can see them right here. Remember I said I fear no scrutiny? Well, I meant that because this is the truth. Let me get this back in here. See this darkened area here? Okay, hold on. With that lined up there, you can see that this goes, there's this right here. See this where it's kind of beveled out? So it goes like that. That's when this cuts in here. You can see it really fit these fine details. And I have no fear of anybody doing close-up shots to verify this, because I'll probably do them later. But, you know, from past experiences, I know that this usually always lines up. And I'm willing to take that risk right now. Just because of what I see over here, I already know the odds are. See the round area here? You can just tell that this is following the land features here below. claiming that this is matching the Grand Canyon. This heavy gouged area, I guess, on the bottom of the ocean here next to Australia. And look at that. That was 1 in a million right there. I didn't even notice that, but let me take you. This is Yellowstone Park, and it looks like a flower. And the flower goes all the way to the Grand Canyon, which I claim it means that they're connected. When I line this up here, you can see this lines up here. See how that fits the features? This is the Grand Canyon right here. This is Yellowstone Park. They're reoccurring patterns of one another. Reoccurring patterns don't have to look like one another, but they do have to line up. And they do it over and over again. Each one a different depth. See, this is what throws the geologist off, is he claims, well, okay, well, you got this on this, but then over here is the Rift Valley. Well, that can't be. Well, yeah, it can be, because they're different depths of the same process. It's going to create different things in each layer, but they're going to line up. And that's all that matters to me, is that they line up. It doesn't matter if this is a lake and then on top of it's a giant mountain that fits in there. They're related. The fact that they line up proves that they're related. The fact that the geologist doesn't understand the difference between one another doesn't mean anything, because he doesn't understand what's going on anyhow. So he really can't make an assumption and assume it is some kind of fact like that. You know, because he doesn't get it means I'm wrong. It doesn't work that way. So anyways, you see this, I mean, look, come on. And anybody can double check this and verify for themselves if these are lining up or not. Their recurring patterns are going to line up over and over again, because they all came from a small area, believe it or not, is responsible for all this. Okay, so anyways, so Grand Canyon, and I'm claiming it's these side features here that are the each one of these lines is from electrical, and what I'm showing you is what I'm claiming initially put the river there. The canyons came after the river was there, and I'm gonna throw this to Michael Steinbacher, who came up with a brilliant explanation for the steep laser-like canyon walls for the Grand Canyon. This is being replicated in a lab, and geology can't do this. This is a video from Michael Steinbacher, and he's no longer with us, but I wish he was, because I'd love to go out in the desert and out in the field with him sometime. But he did a video about the Grand Canyon, and I think he's actually right. I think this is, well, what the difference between what I think and what he thinks is, I think that this is a combination of things. I think the Grand Canyon was originally just a river, and I think that what I just showed you was what put that river there. As far as the canyon walls, though, I think are an after effect, and I believe that his version from then on is accurate. And you know, he does this in a lab. Geology, I don't think they can't replicate the Grand Canyon's features in a lab, not with what they think happened. But look how easy the Electric Universe and Steinbacher can do it in a lab. Electric theory, I'll be honest, is far superior of a theory than the other accepted theories, in my opinion. There's just no doubt about it. Makes everything easy to understand, simple as it should be, and they can replicate things in a lab that others cannot. And that's golden. Let's check out what he's saying here.
Material actually dolomite and clay coming down from above. Let's take a look at that. This is the experiment. You have a piece of plastic and then the channel running through it with water that Billy adjusts so it doesn't run over the edge, it just runs through the channel. And then he's going to let material fall from above while these two electrodes exchange a charge differential. I think it's 70,000 volts. Here's the material starting to fall. You can see it's accumulating, it's being sorted, concentrated by the electricity. And let's just keep this going. Fast forwarding. You can see the channels starting, and you can see a little bit of moisture. When I first saw this, I thought it was wicking out of the channel, being pulled somehow in between the electrodes. But this continues, and you get more of it while there's these other grooves and channels developing. And then we'll go further through, and we'll see that it's getting thicker, this water. It doesn't seem to be wicked, actually. It's as if the dust that's coming down is joining with the water and accumulating more rapidly here. And you start to get cliffs on either side of the channel, which is kind of interesting, kind of reminiscent of the Grand Canyon. It's getting thicker still. And more. You're getting cliffs on both insides of the canyon. I think they're both leeward. I think material's being pushed this way and combining with the water to make horizontal layers. We'll see the layers a little bit later. Here's where it's continuing. You're starting to get a canyon here. By scale, this could be more than a mile deep if you look at this as the size of the Grand Canyon. You can see Billy's lifting the electrodes. There's all kinds of arcs going back and forth that you'll see in the video. It's continuing to get deeper and deeper. Keeps going. Nothing down to the bottom and nothing to the top. It's just in between the electrodes. Still getting deeper. Now he's pulled the electrodes away. Now we're going to start to look at the canyon walls. And they seem to be layered. And they seem to almost be dendritic on the edges. It's really something. Let me play this here so it moves. You'll see how he created a canyon by preventing accumulation with flowing water while dust comes from above, creating canyon walls on the inside of the formation on both sides. Again, as if the material's being pulled towards the center. Might this explain the Grand Canyon and the horizontal layering, where it doesn't trend in one direction real hard, it just goes sort of from north to south along the entire canyon.
See, that makes perfect sense to me, because basically what's happened is the water is already here. The river's been cut by electrical, in my opinion, already, but the canyon walls are then exaggerated by debris that's falling from the sky from what most likely would be an electric cataclysm. Electricity can do all kinds of crazy stuff. It could explain everything, but geology decides to ignore because who knows? It doesn't even make sense to me. But you can see that this is far superior, and it can be replicated in a lab, and that's something, and it makes absolute sense. It really does. The Grand Canyon's walls look like they're laser cut. There's no way a river is going to cut through the dirt. There's no way it's going to cut through with that kind of like laser steep canyons. But it makes sense that if the river's already there and then the material is dropping down from the sky, it's going to cut a razor sharp deep canyon like that because it's going to build up around it, and it's going to keep cleaning the debris out where the water's running. So it makes absolute sense. I mean, it's so much sense that, I mean, have you ever heard how geology's version of how the Grand Canyon is made? It doesn't make sense. Everything takes millions of years. But if it took me a million years to build my house, by the time I was done, I'd have no house. It'd already be gone. But yet, according to geology, all this stuff takes millions of years. But electrical would do it right away. So I just wanted to point that out. And I'd also like to point out that anybody that thinks electromagnetism is a pseudoscience is a retard. I'm just going to say that right now because I get that argument a lot, and it's the other way around. Mainstream science is the pseudoscience. They're the ones that make up stuff, create stuff off their mind, like string theory, crap like that. That's all make believe, and then they try to push it as factual. That's a pseudoscience. And I just want to point that out because I get tired of the arguing over it. Thanks for watching.